square for our worry catcher, all you need to do is take the bottom corner and fold it up so that it lines up as closely as you can get it with the edge of the paper, just to create that square. And then once you have that folded, I'll give you a minute to do that. But once you have that folded, just take this top flap and fold it so that this fold lines up with the top part of the little triangle shape you made. This might be something that maybe you did in grade school. And you can see I'm just pressing down the edge with my fingernail to really get that fold sharp so that it's easier to tear. But this, you might have made yourself a cootie catcher back in the day. But we're doing a little bit of a different version of that. So once you have this top flap folded, folding it in both directions, I find helps you to tear this off more easily. So once you have that folded down nicely, just go ahead and rip it right off. You can save this for another art project or something, but for now we're going to set it aside. And then to make sure that I know exactly where the center is of the paper, I like to also fold up my corner and make another diagonal fold here on our square. So now you can see we have sort of an X shape in the middle of the paper. And what we're going to do is take each corner and fold it inwards. I'm going to actually, wait, I'm probably going a little fast for everybody. I'll let you catch up for a second. But what we're basically doing, what the goal is here today, is to make something pretty, but also to be contemplative. And this week I thought we could focus on sort of finding ways to directly address the things that are causing us stress or worrying us. And sometimes it's nice to have a tool to help you with that, a physical reminder. So what we're going to be doing is basically writing down our worries on the outside and then writing affirmations or drawing things that soothe us on the inside. And doing this, like I said, can be a fun way both for you and for people you know, maybe for your kids. It's a good way to remind yourself of positive coping skills. So now that we're probably all at the same spot now, go ahead and take each corner of your square and just fold it in right to where those two folds meet. So it's right in the middle. And what we're going to end up with is basically just a smaller square. Again, you can see I'm taking the time to use my fingernails and really crease down each edge. That's just going to make it easier for us to form our finished thing. It also makes it easier to see the folds. You can see now it looks kind of like a little envelope. Probably if you wanted to, if you're out of envelopes, you could just put a piece of tape right there and you have one ready to go. Send something to somebody. Creativity, the possibilities are really endless. And if your corners aren't perfectly sharp here at the edges, if you have places where they might kind of be a little bit more open, like you can see this one isn't perfect, that's fine. It's not gonna change the end product that much. So don't worry too much about that. Really, we're just here to have fun and make something that hopefully is helpful. But now you should have sort of what looks like basically a little square packet with these 4 folded in flaps. And then once you have that all ready to go, go ahead and flip that guy over. And then we're just gonna do the same thing. So now you can see here again, those folds are helping us because we have a cross that tells us right where the middle of the piece of paper is. So hopefully you took the time to do that step. I think it's really helpful. It helps you to make something that's easier to fold with relatively little effort. And you might have a little bit more trouble pressing down here since there's more thicker layers of paper. But just remember, really use your fingernails are your friends here. If you don't have, most people don't have a folding bone on them, but if you happen to, you can use that. You can also use the edge of a paintbrush or a pencil or anything like that and just really press down on those edges if you want them to be extra crisp. So go ahead and go around and just fold all of those in. Again, if you don't hit the center or if you have a place where the corner isn't as sharp, don't worry about it. It's gonna work just fine. One more fold, and then we have a little square packet. You can see now it looks a little different because we have these little folds from our last packet in the middle. So now flip it over one more time, and now we have these 4 flaps pointing inward. So we're almost ready to start actually making our little creation. So take this and fold it in half along that center line. So you have a rectangle. Then once you're ready for that, I'll wait a second. I'll wait for you guys to get to that step. So remember, once you fold it in the second time, flip over your paper one more time. And then you have this, and then go ahead and fold it in half. So you have this little rectangle. And then here, all you're gonna wanna do is slip your thumb under one of these squares, slip your thumb under the other, and then push the edges inward. You're just gonna move the paper so that all of them move inward, and you end up with a shape like this. Cookie catcher. Familiar thing, I'm sure, to a lot of us. But we're going to use it to a little different purpose today. We're not trying to tell our romantic futures. Instead, all we're trying to do is catch our worries. So go ahead and grab a pen, whatever you have nearby. It's not really a huge deal what kind. I'm going to use my little green pen today and just write down either things that stress you out or feelings that you feel, negative things that you feel like you run into often, whether that's frustration or fatigue, maybe tiredness, worry, anxiety. So I'm going to just write down some basic ones on mine. You can even, if you want to make these things less intimidating, you can even decorate them a little bit with little patterns or something. Not just to make the outside of your worry catcher more appealing, but also to, you know, remind yourself not to take these things that seriously. I know that my camera flips the words over, but hopefully you can see that I've written anxiety on that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and write fatigue. And again, I'm just decorating it a little bit. And you can also go back and do this later. You just want to focus on thinking of things right now. And then frustration is kind of a long word for cootie catchers, so let's just go with anger. But we'll know that we don't mean like real scary anger. And you don't have to be writing down what I'm writing down. Again, this is personal to you. Hopefully it's helpful to you. So write down things that you feel like really affect you. No one else can see what you're writing, so, you know, be as personal as you want to be. This is for you. And then for the last one, I don't really know. I mean, it's a good thing that I can't think of a fourth negative emotion, but. Oh, I know. These are all really long. I feel like normally they're words of colors and they're like red, but we're taking this in a little bit of a different direction. But go ahead and think of your ones. And then for the last one, I'm gonna put impatience. Which is kind of a more specific thing than maybe the other stuff I wrote down, but you know, again, it's specific to me, and your words, your feelings are specific to you. So write down something that makes sense to you. So once we have those, let's fold our guide back up and just take a look at what we have here. Ooh, this paper I'm using is a little stiff. Okay, so you can see, because I wrote my words diagonally, they kind of all face out, which I think is nice. So the idea here is to go, okay, I'm feeling anger, A-N-G-E-R, and then go from there. So on the inside, let's just go the traditional cootie catcher route. Right, Nikki? I thought it would be fun to sort of take this and see if it would still be useful to us in, as adults, and I think it is. So just go ahead and put numbers, whether you want to go in order 1 through 8, whatever we have here, or you want to just write random numbers. It's up to you. I think it's important to have some even and some odd numbers mostly. And I mean, you don't want to put too big of a number. You don't want to put like 50, or it'll take you forever to use this thing. But once you have your numbers, go ahead and test this out. We're almost to our last step here. So go ahead and say, okay, impatience. I-M-P-A-T-I-E-N-C-E. It's a quick little spelling test for me. And then, you know, pick a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. And then hopefully under here, under each of these flaps, we're gonna make something or write something that brings us back to positivity and reminds us that, okay, whatever we're feeling is temporary, and there are other more positive things to focus on, or there are other things that we can give our energy to. And this here, this can be something that you write to yourself, a note that you write to yourself, or it can be a drawing. Whatever you prefer, whatever really connects with you best. So for this part, I'm going to use a different color. You can use the same one. I'm just going to use this because it stands out to me a little bit better. But I'm just going to, maybe on this one, just read myself, write myself a little note. So because I started this one with impatience, maybe I'll write, you are worthy of patience. And again, I know that this is backwards, but hopefully you get the idea. And you can write something entirely different. This is just what I think will work for me. And then maybe for another one, I'm just gonna draw something that that brings me joy. For those of you who have been here before, you may have noticed I talk about my plants a lot. So I think I'm gonna just draw a little potted plant here because that brings me real comfort. So you can express yourself with a poem. You could use, you could draw a portrait of family members or friends that are helping you, or that it just brings you a lot of joy to think about. You can write down good memories that you would rather be thinking about, or that you feel like will bring you to a better sort of headspace. It's really up to you. The possibilities are endless. I have my little pink plant here. It's funny, I've been drawing in green this whole time, and then when I go to draw a plant, I end up with something pink. Maybe I'll add a little green here. But the point of this exercise is just that, sometimes it can be tough to just practice positivity or patience or being grounded with just your mind. It's easy to let your mind wander, and sometimes it's really helpful to just have a tool to get that process jump started, so that you can get to feeling and being better sooner. There's no shame in that. That there's nothing wrong with needing a tool or wanting a tool. Sometimes it can just be helpful, and that's great. So I have this, we have 2 more to go. If you're in the little chat, feel free to share things that make you feel good. If it's not too personal for you, go ahead and let us know, like, what are some things that you're grateful for that make you feel better when you're feeling bad? Let's see. Plants and nature. Me too, Whitney. So for this one, I'm going to write down an activity that I feel, something that I can do real quick that I think will help me to reset and feel better. So I think for me, that's it's not even drawing. It's going outside and just breathing the fresh air. Even when the weather's kind of funky like today, it's still just a really refreshing thing to just step outside your door, even if you're not going anywhere. And you know, maybe for you that's not a comforting idea. Maybe for you a really comforting idea is to snuggle up inside and you know, have a cozy blanket and a cup of tea or a cup of hot cocoa. And that also honestly sounds pretty wonderful. Just gonna draw myself some little flowers here. And then for this last one, I don't know, it's tricky to think of a joke that will make me laugh every time. But I'll try to think of one. What's something that's just like endlessly funny to you? Oh, I know. This is kind of a joke that's specific to me, but uh, I think a New Jersey accent's really funny. But not even that. Just sometimes just purposely mispronouncing things is really funny. I don't know why. But I used to you know, be around a lot of gelato, and one day I just decided to start calling it gelordo, and for whatever reason, I just always get a kick out of that. Gelordo. So, like I said, you know, all of this stuff can be really, really incredibly personal to you. It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. It doesn't have to make sense to me because it's for you. But hopefully this tool that we've made, this little guy, um, will help you to maybe not, you know, always be positive, but when you're feeling really down, maybe this will help you to reset your brain a little bit. So with the time we have left, go ahead and test your worry catcher out. Let's see. Anxiety. Anxiety. Okay. 1, 2. And I'm gonna pick 5. Go outside and smell the fresh air. I think that's some great advice when you're feeling anxious. So I hope that if you made this, you try it out. You can use it throughout your day, and yeah, I hope it's helpful to you. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for making something special with me, and hopefully I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much, Lainey. These were so fun, and for somebody who didn't get to make these as a kid, I feel like super lucky that I'm getting to make them now and living my childhood dreams.